And now, you're tuned into RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's Reveler Sports.
Ahoy, listeners and fans. This is RBLR Sports with the RBLR Bucs crew. My name is Musab, and I am feeling excited, but also blessed. Football is back. Oh, God. I'm so hyped just overall. With the start of the football season, the fantasy league fun begins as well, and also my favorite season of the year. This ship has set sail, and the journey has begun with an exciting Week 1 win against the Minnesota Vikings. Ladies and gentlemen, we are undefeated as of right now. That's a pretty nice feeling, ain't it? But then again, you're probably thinking, dude, it's only been Week 1. But I'll tell you this, there's a train I'm hopping on. It's the optimism train. And while the waters may still cause us some trouble in the future, right now, all I'm thinking is Tampa Bay football is back, baby. And to our haters, watch us keep winning. Well, that being said, I am pleased to announce I got two winners with me tonight, and they are also my awesome co-captains of this fired-up ship. Listeners, they are back, ready to attack. First and foremost, we got Zach. Zach, what's going on, man?
What is up, RBLR Nation? What is up, Musab? We got to win. I don't care what anyone else has to say about it. That's all that matters. We got to win, baby.
Yes, indeed, dude. I'm just so happy. Football's finally back. My Sundays are just filled with football, and same thing, a little bit of that Monday night football action as well. But can't forget the final piece to this RBLR Buck puzzle. To my left, now taking over the ship's helm, he is Captain Carter. Carter, what's going on, dude?
What's up, Musab? How y'all doing? Hope everyone's having a good night. Yeah, definitely exciting. Bucks win. I mean, it's always a fun show after a Bucks win, right? I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. So yeah, we'll get right into it. Obviously, the Bucks won. In case you haven't been paying attention, they took down the Vikings in Minnesota for a Week 1 victory. It was an interesting game. It was a Week 1 game. I don't think there's any other way to put it there's not a better way to put it other than that, because across the NFL there were a bunch of weird games, like Joe Burrow had a 80-yard performance or something, and then the Eagles almost managed to lose a lead, and it was a weird game. It's Week 1, but still 1-0. You can't take that away from the Bucs, and it was a great victory. It was a team effort. There was some great plays defensively. Baker really put it together in the second half. And we'll get into it. So how psyched? We'll start on the defensive end, because that, in my opinion, that was the most impressive part of this victory, was the defensive performance. So how psyched are you about the defense? I mean, for me personally, I'm like, oh shoot, like they came ready to play. So Musab, we'll start with you. How psyched are you about this defensive performance from Week 1?
I'm pretty darn psyched. I'll tell you that. The defense was everywhere, especially that second half. We really stepped it up big time, and honestly, they were a huge, huge factor in our win.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they held them to 7 points in that second half. It was a single touchdown, and they really got contributions from everyone. I mean, sure, Devin White, we'll get into that, but Devin White really played his butt off, but it was really a collective effort. They were getting some pressure on Kirk Cousins. Sure, Kirk Cousins is Kirk Cousins, so he made some very Kirk Cousins-like throws. But that they still could have just not taken advantage. They took advantage of those Kirk Cousins throws, and they ran with it. So I was really impressed, like you said. Just really excited to see how they can continue to carry this momentum into the season, as we continue on in this journey that is the football season. Zach, how about you? How are you feeling about this defensive performance against the Vikings?
Way better than what I was expecting, if I'm being completely honest with you. I had faith that our defense was going to be good, but I didn't think they were going to be great, and I think that they played great this game. Was Christian Isian, I think is his name. I don't know how to pronounce his last name completely, but for being an undrafted rookie, he got the starting spot and came up big for us. I know that it only said 3 tackles, but I felt like he was one of those guys that was kind of everywhere when he needed to be. And I was super impressed. Devin White almost looked like $100 million player.
Right. Yeah, he definitely was playing for that contract
Oh,
extension.
100%, man.
Yeah, he was playing his butt off, and the Isian, yeah, Isian played wonderfully. He had a tough stretch in the fourth quarter when the Vikings scored their touchdown. He had a DPI on a third and
Yep.
goal, I think, and then he immediately got ran over by Alexander Madison. It was a tough stretch, but push that aside. He played really, really well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was really excited about the defensive performance. But moving to the other side of the ball, obviously, the big thing that we were all looking for was how Baker was going to do in his first game in a Bucs uniform, how he would mesh with the offense. And I think it went about as well as anyone could have hoped. I mean, obviously, you'd love to see him throw for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns, blah blah blah. But the biggest thing was no interceptions and only 1 sack. So we can hem and haw about the lack of production and they didn't really push the ball downfield, blah blah blah. But I was actually pretty excited about his performance. So what moving forward though, because it was a very different performance in the first half and the second half version of Baker Mayfield. So which do you think Baker is? Do you think he's the first half version or the second half version? Zach, I think I already know your answer, but I'll ask you just as a formality.
Obviously, I think he's a second half Baker. I think it's very important for all of us fans to remember, even the non-fans that are listening. This is the first time that they've all played meaningful football together under a new offensive coordinator, a bunch of new players, essentially a whole new offensive line. And I think that to see his ability to get out of those sacks was impressive because when I was watching, I think I counted at least 4 times that if we had Brady back there, he probably would have been sacked. And I don't. That's not a hate on Brady. It's just Brady was not mobile, and that was one of the issues we had last year was sacks. And to see Baker be able to get out of those is impressive, and I think that that's going to be something that kind of helps us through these next few games and the whole season, really. But it just seeing him you could visibly see him get more comfortable with the play calling and more comfortable with what he was doing in the second half. So. Is there going to be bad games? I'd almost guarantee you there's going to be a couple bad games. That happens every year to every quarterback. But I think the second half Baker is what we're going to get more of this year.
For sure. And I do like that you brought up his mobility because I think that's just probably one of the bigger reasons why they went with him over Kyle Trask. Because, Trask is a pretty decent pocket passer, but good Lord, the NFL, it's 2023. That's not 1965. Pocket passers are dying. There's not a place for him really. So yeah, and there are a lot of people that were concerned about his ability to push the ball down the field, or the fact that he was one of the, he had one of the shortest yards per completion or something like that. But right, or average air under the pass, whatever. The NFL is trending in a short direction. They're not pushing the ball down the field nearly as much anymore. It's just been a trend. There's a big article about it in ESPN that was fascinating. So it's just that's the way the NFL is going, and Baker Mayfield and the Bucs offense is just playing that trend. So Musab, how about you? What were your thoughts on? Are you excited about Baker? Did his performance inspire you or inspire more faith? Or maybe you're kind of, hey, it's still week 1. And it was also the Vikings who had a terrible defense last year and they didn't get any better. So
there's only one right answer here, Musab. Don't mess it up.
Oh, shit. Okay. Well, guys, I am quite optimistic about Baker Mayfield big time. And I think that he is the second half Baker that we saw.
Hell yeah.
What I will say is that I wouldn't be surprised if at times depending on who we played, maybe he needs a little bit of time to warm up. Early on, you saw that he was a little bit uncomfortable, kind of a little bit all over the place. But once he got into a rhythm, with the team, plays were made. I didn't see anything super kind of spectacular, minus that, that little tuck it and run. That was honestly dope. All right. But I saw some good basic football from him, and I think there's a lot of potential for him to grow up there as well. He was tough when he needed to be, and that's what I really liked as well. It's something that fired me up. And I mean, I don't know, I'll just leave it at that. It is only week 1, so the fact that we saw this from him just within the first week with a whole new organization, a whole new kind of team, it excites me.
For sure. And I think the most exciting part for me was definitely just the no turnovers. If he goes as many games as possible with taking care of the football, the Bucs will win games just by that alone. So that was really exciting. But on the other side, unfortunately, the running game was still left something to be desired, to say the least. The 2.2 yards per carry, only 70 plus yards on 30 plus carries. It was just brutal. It still wasn't where it needs to be. But the counter argument is, Greg Allman put this in a tweet earlier this week. They didn't actually lose any yardage except for one time throughout the game running the football, which was a big thing last year. They'd try to run it and they'd get stuffed. You'd watch Leonard Fournette just get swallowed up before the line of scrimmage. So I thought that was kind of encouraging. So where do you fall on this? Zach, we'll start with you. Are you encouraged by the fact that they weren't having so many negative plays, or maybe you're still like, who cares? They still ran for 2.2 yards per carry. That sucks. Where do you fall on this?
It's encouraging in a sense. I think I'm more encouraged with the offensive line, but
Sure.
It also discourages me about Rachaad White. Because, yes, we didn't get tackled in the backfield, but one time? So that one time is a lot less than what we got tackled in the backfield last year.
Right.
But it also means that he wasn't pushing anything at the line. Because for you to, 2.3, 2.2 yards a carry, that might even be lower than what Leonard Fournette was. I think that is lower than what Leonard Fournette was last year.
Wow.
So we've already mentioned it that Minnesota's defensive line is nowhere near one of the best defensive lines we're going to face all year.
Right.
If you're putting up 2.2 yards a carry against Minnesota, what are you going to put up when we face the Eagles?
Even the Saints. Yeah.
Exactly. So if it's me, I'm picking up the phone, I'm calling Kareem Hunt, and I'm getting him in.
Right. Yeah. It is very discouraging from that sense, that perspective for sure. I love that you brought up the Vikings defensive line. It's definitely tough when you put it in that lens. Musab, how about you? Are you maybe a little more optimistic than myself and Zach?
As of right now, I'm a little indifferent just because, hey, it was week one. I think we will need a little bit of time to warm up. But after what Zach said about the whole kind of Vikings D-line, the fact that, yeah, we were so unsuccessful overall definitely is super concerning. I think there are just a few contributing factors. One example being that I feel like maybe someone like Cade Otton could have stepped up to the plate a little bit more, providing a little bit more of that kind of blocking game, for example. But I don't know. I think we're just going to have to work on a few things when it comes to the run game. We're going to have to make some changes, even if that means, picking up someone like Kareem Hunt, as Zach mentioned. But I don't know. We'll see. It's only been 1 week, so perhaps we just need a little bit more time in the run game. But I don't know. What about you, Carter? How do you feel overall?
Yeah, like Anakin Skywalker said in episode 3, patience. That's the key. It's definitely, it's too soon. It's week 1, like Musab said. I think indifference the perfect way to describe.
So can I add on a follow-up question to that?
Absolutely.
It's a theoretical question.
Sure.
Had Baker Mayfield come out and had a trash game, would you still have said, it's too soon to tell?
Yes, absolutely.
Really?
You can't bench a guy after one game. It's like, because, oh my God, there are people on Twitter and, I'm in group chats that are like, oh, Joe Burrow's washed, and like, oh, Daniel Jones is such a bad
that's BS, because we've seen, not that they're not saying it, but those people are idiots, because if you can bench someone off one game based off and not at all in the past of what they've done, my concern with Rachaad White is last year was not that impressive either.
For sure. No, absolutely.
So this isn't, for me, it's not just one game. It's the first game of the season, but this is his second year.
Right.
And we've seen not much better than last Sunday all last season.
Yeah, it's getting dangerously close to becoming a trend.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of where my head's at with it.
For sure. Yeah, it's just tough to have these overreactionary, like, hot takes, like after one game. Like you said, it's just, it's too early to tell. I think if we're in week 5 and it still looks like this, yes, absolutely. Changes need to be made, whether it's the offensive line, the tight end blocking, whatever it is. They need to diagnose the problem and figure it out quick, because otherwise this ain't going to cut it. I'm with you. If things continue at this trend, at this pace, then yeah, it's going to have to, everything's going to come to a head and it's going to have to change. But yeah, week one, it's still a bit early, but it is certainly trending towards becoming a trend. It's certainly not.
Exactly.
It's not a step in the right direction. That's for sure.
Not even close.
Right. But with all that being said, I know we've kind of been harping on the negatives a little bit, but we'll get back to a bit of the positives as well. What's one thing you liked and maybe one thing you didn't like from the game Sunday? Musab, we'll start with you.
One thing I like was just the fact that our defense was locking up the Vikings, especially in that second half. I already mentioned already, but a big shout out to just everyone, people like D.White, Antoine Winfield, Christian Isian, Levante David, just everyone, honestly. It just makes me feel that, we really do have a chance and, they're really going to save us a lot this season is my prediction. One thing I didn't like was the fact that I feel like we should have gotten Mike Evans some more opportunities in the first half. He barely got anything. Fortunately, it did pick up a little bit in the second half, but that was just something that kind of threw me off a little bit overall. But I don't know, maybe that's just me.
No, I'm with you. He only had 10 targets, which 10 targets isn't nothing, but it's also not number one wide receiver necessarily. So I'm with you. It's something I think Baker's going to get more comfortable with as he goes along, assuming that he keeps the job and continues to play well. Hopefully he'll get more comfortable and he'll feel more, locked in stride with Mike Evans from the get-go. They won't have to warm up to each other because, like you said, the first half, the offense in general was pretty non-existent, but especially pushing the ball to Evans and the playmakers. So yeah, it was definitely the second half was a totally different story, but yeah, that first half was brutal. Zach, how about you? What's one thing you liked and one thing you didn't like from Sunday?
So one thing I liked was the grittiness that we saw from Baker. Really the whole offense. Chris Godwin had that fourth quarter catch that was just incredible. Baker with that run, telling homeboy he had to hit the weights, like just a dog, and kind of all of our offensive players really, but especially those two. I love that. I think that's what this team needs. I think that the negative takes that they've gotten this season is kind of pushing them to do as good as they can, and I'm here for it. One thing I didn't like, we touched on the run game, and I think that the run game, how poorly it was, plays into my dislike of the week. I didn't like how much we passed the ball. Like we were told by I want to pass the ball that much, but when we're told that Dave Canales wants to have a run first offense, this is what he wants, this is how it's going to be, and then we start the game with 3 straight pass plays. Like it's just, I guess for me, I wasn't expecting it, and I think that's why I didn't like it. It's not something I'm opposed to, but it just was completely out of left field for me.
Yeah, the play calling could be a bit inconsistent. It seemed like, but Dave Canales, this is his first week ever being a play caller at the NFL level.
And I feel like that's important to look at too, is that it is his first week. And to touch on Musab's Mike Evans take, that's the first time they've played an actual game together. Mike Evans didn't suit up at all in the preseason.
That's a good point.
Maybe it makes it a little bit, 10 targets for the first time ever playing together. Maybe that's not as bad as it looked on paper,
Right. Yeah. It's definitely not. It's definitely not what you necessarily want to see moving forward. You'd love to see Mike Evans get a little bit more involved, but like you said, for their first time playing together, maybe it's not as bad as you'd think. But also to counter your pass heavy offense, they had a relatively even split of 34 passing attempts and 33 rush attempts. So, sure. I do agree though that the weird start to the game, it seems like a lot of the runs came in kind of the second half almost. It just seems like the second half was just where all the good stuff happened in this game.
Exactly.
Which is certainly true. So yeah, I'm definitely with you. The play calling was a bit shaky to start, but like I said, it's week one. It's Dave Canales' first time doing this, so I'm willing to give him, I don't want to say a mulligan, but kind of more room to grow.
It can't be worse than Byron Leftwich, so he can call whatever he wants at this point.
And he also could do a lot worse than leading a team to 1-0. So it's kind of For sure, got a delicate balance. But just because a team wins doesn't mean that they did everything perfectly. So I don't mean to make it sound like that. But moving on to our next segment, players of the game. We've got, a lot of really, really great performances from this past week. And I think we'll hit on a few with our players of the game. Mine is D.White. That guy was just flying all over the field. Obviously, you can get into the statistical stuff. He led the team in total tackles and solo tackles, and he had a tackle for loss sprinkled in there. But it just felt like every time the Bucs needed a big play or a big stop or something like that, that it was him making it. Like if it was tackling a guy in the open field, preventing them from getting additional yards, whatever it was D.White at the focal point of this defense. And it was really impressive to see after this tumultuous off season. It wasn't an easy off season for him or the Bucs. So that's my player of the week. Zach, how about you? Who's your player of the week, big dog?
Well, I mean, I feel like I got to go with Baker Mayfield. No, I'm just kidding. Realistically, as much as I loved what Baker did, my player of the week had to be Antoine Winfield Jr. He got what I believe was the first sack of the season for Tampa. He was everywhere. He was, I believe, second or third on the team in tackles. He had 8 solo tackles. Just was or 2 solo. Yeah, sorry, 6 assisted. But was just a stud. Like, he was a beast, and he made plays when it mattered. And he also was willing to, like, he had 3 quarterback hits or 2 quarterback hits and 3 quarterback hurries. Like, he was there. He was everywhere. That's the kind of defense I like to see played. And I think that him coming up is just more and more what the trend that we're seeing with him. He's going to end up being one of the highest paid safeties to play the game.
Yeah, I mean, not only did he force the fumble, he also recovered that fumble on Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, so that was also incredibly impressive to see. On his sack, he just was like, "Yep, I'll take that ball as well." So that was really cool to see. Antoine Winfield definitely had an amazing performance. Musab, how about you? Who's your player of the week?
Yeah, I mean, it was tough to to decide between those two, honestly. But I'll tell you this: I'm gonna have to go with D.White. Just with everything that was going on with the offseason and everything, to see him kind of ball out this first week, it keeps me excited about what he has for us this upcoming season, or during this season as it starts now. He was everywhere. He really was. Him and Levante David kind of complementing each other. I was just overall really happy to see it. And as you already mentioned already, Carter, he's racked up a lot of things on the stat sheet as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And, he's one of the leaders on this team. So it's going to be really important for him to continue to bring that energy. You can tell as D.White goes, this defense goes. If he continues to play like that, the Bucs aren't going to lose very many games because of their defense, So it was really impressive to see him go out and play that way. Especially like we've mentioned a couple times, because of the offseason, it was a bit of uncertainty whether he was even going to play, in a Bucs uniform this season. So it was really great to see him go out there and, earn a paycheck, because shoot, if he keeps playing like this, he's going to get paid. He's going to get what he thinks and what he obviously does deserve if he continues to play like this. So yeah, really impressive to see from D.White. But my outfit of the week, if I had to choose one, moving on from player of the week, would definitely be from if y'all are listening, y'all got to check that out, because they've definitely got some fire. We've got some fire up on that shop at shop.rblrsports.com. If you're looking for Rays, Bucks, Lightning, or Rowdies gear, they've got it. The promo code is Cannon, CANNONS. You type that bad boy in, 10% off everything at the store. Since the Bucs won this week, you got to reward yourself, a little celebratory gift. So yeah, definitely check it out. See what we've got cooked up, and yeah, for sure. So after that shameless shop plug, we'll get into this upcoming week. The Bears are coming to town. It's the home opener. It's Sunday. It's going to be really fun. Justin Fields plays for the Bears. They've got this kind of new team. I mean, I don't want to say brand new team, but they've got a lot of new guys. They spent a lot of money in the offseason. So yeah, they got off to a rough start, though. They were really embarrassed by the Packers in week 1, because the Packers are pretty much a new team. They've just moved on from Aaron Rodgers, and they had Jordan Love making his second career NFL start. And Fields looked rough. The defense looked bad. So what are some ways that the Bucs can kind of take advantage of the Bears? Because looking at that game, it just looked like everyone was kind of out of sync. It looked like they had a bunch of new players in there. So that was tough to see. Zach, we'll start with you. How do you think the Bucs can kind of take advantage of the Bears this weekend?
I mean, I think our offense needs to do a lot of the same things they did against Minnesota. Because in my opinion, I know that Chicago has a few big names on their defense now. I don't think that they're much better, if any better, than Minnesota's defense. That's just my take. On offense, we just need to do the same thing that we did against Minnesota. On defense, we need to play a lot of QB contain, but I also think we need to send pressure at Justin Fields because Fields – I know you really like him, so I'm trying to be nice about him.
Man, I don't know the dude. You can say what you feel, man.
No, Fields is a run-first quarterback. There's not a doubt about it. Like, you've got mobile quarterbacks that want to throw the ball, but Fields wants to run the ball. So if we can send the pressure and play QB and contain at the same time, I think that that's going to limit what he's able to do because his first reaction is to run the ball. So if we can contain him on defense, I think we win this game pretty handedly.
Yeah, because, I mean, their running back situation is a bit weird. Khalil Herbert and Deontay Foreman – Deontay Foreman.
Yeah. Donta or Deonta? I don't. There's the two of them that had pretty much the same name.
Right. It's Devontae Freeman and Deontay Foreman or something like that.
Yep, you're right. Yeah.
But anyways, yeah. So their running game is a bit dependent on Justin Fields, and then their offensive line is still kind of coming together. And then DJ Moore is kind of their headliner, and then they've got Darnell Mooney as well as Chase Claypool, which whatever.
That's Canadian Megatron, man. Don't disrespect him.
Right. Anyways, there's definitely some ways for the Bucs to exploit the Bears this weekend. Musab, how about you? How do you think the Bucs can take advantage of the Bears and come out with a victory?
My feeling is that I don't think we're going to have a perfect offensive game, but I think we're going to be clicking a lot more this upcoming game against the Bears. And that includes a lot of that kind of Baker Evans connection, just overall, honestly. But what I'm really kind of looking forward to is how we bully Justin Fields. I think, as Zach mentioned already, just kind of, that pressure that we're going to put on him. He's a mobile quarterback, and I think we're still going to be able to kind of get to him. I don't think there's anything special about their offensive line. Green Bay took advantage of that big time. And, I mean, that's all there really is to it. And then on top of that, I mean, just most of Fields' success, this last game it just came on that kind of short swing and out routes. And I think our run defense will be able to kind of stand tall and still get to them overall. That's kind of just the way I feel. I think we're going to take advantage of them big time. I don't think Justin Fields is going to have any opportunities to kind of get some big throws down the field or anything like that. We saw what our Buccaneers are capable of doing, especially that second half against the Vikings, and I think they're going to do just the same against Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, just like you said, Justin Fields he's an electric athlete, but the Bucs have some electric athletes on the defensive side of the ball too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Devin White and Levante David can definitely fly around. They're probably one of the best linebacking duos in the NFL. So, I mean, I feel like the Bucs have that kind of perfect recipe to kind of counteract against what Justin Fields can do. Because the Packers kind of have a similar situation. They've got the young guy Quay Walker out of Georgia and Devondre Campbell, who are both two really good linebackers, and they were able to kind of do a similar thing to Justin Fields, just kind of contain him, just kind of make sure he doesn't break for any of those Justin Fields like runs, because those can happen sometimes. He is uber athletic, really, really good in the open field. So it's going to be key for the Bucs to do that. But I think, like we've been saying, the Bucs have the personnel to do it. But moving on to some X Factor guys, there's the Bears that we've kind of been talking about, how the Bucs can take advantage, but there's certainly some talent on that roster because, like I said, they spent a crap ton of money in free agency, and it's still the NFL. The NFL has an incredible amount of parity. So, any given Sunday, all that stuff. So the Bucs could just as easily lose this game. Who's a guy that you think could give the Bucs the most problems, on either side of the ball? Musab, we'll start with you. Who are you looking at on that Bears roster and thinking, ooh, got to be careful there?
I'm looking at DJ Moore just because of that slow start he had week one. I have a feeling it's going to change big time for sure. I think Chicago is going to work on some strategies on how they can get DJ Moore some more opportunities. This guy had some big days against the Bucs when he was with the Panthers, so I don't see why he couldn't against us. But we'll see what happens. But I think he's a potential threat for us.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you said, familiarity, it breeds contempt, as they say. So,
Yeah.
the DJ Moore only had 2 targets in week 1. And I think we can all agree that that probably won't be the case for week 2. There's no way that you have DJ Moore out there running routes, and him and Darnell Mooney are both pretty good receivers, but I think DJ Moore's a pretty, he's the superior guy in that regard. So, yeah, I'm with you. DJ Moore is definitely going to be someone to kind of keep tabs on if you're the Bucs, especially because I think Jamel Dean can kind of keep up with him, but Carlton Davis is definitely a very physical corner. DJ Moore possesses the speed to maybe give him a little bit of a headache. So that's definitely something to watch moving forward. Zach, how about you? Who's a guy on the Bears roster that you think could give the Bucs some problems?
TJ Edwards. The guy had 14 tackles last week. He's everywhere, and I don't know that there's anyone on Tampa's defense or offensive line that's going to be able to stop him completely. So I picture him being in the backfield. I think we're going to have quite a few more negative yardage runs this week with him playing.
Right.
I don't think he's going to be able to stop us completely, but I do think he's going to kind of put a hampering on our play calling ability.
Yeah, I mean, he came over from Philly. Obviously he was with Philly for a few years, and he was a great performer. Did a lot of nice things there, and he looks like he's just continuing his winning ways in Chicago, or at least his individual winning ways. I don't want to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he definitely played really well last week, and just kind of more of the same from him. He's just a tackling machine. So yeah, he's definitely someone to look out for, especially since the Bucs had such a hard time running the football last week already. So that trend's it's going to be tough to kind of stop that trend this week. Yeah, him and Edmonds are definitely going to be really, really something to look for in regards to if the Bucs really want to try to run the football, especially since their longest run was 6 yards. The Bucs' longest run was 6 yards in week 1. That's nasty. That's not going to get it done. So if they want to try to buck that trend and try to actually have some substantial runs, then yeah, they got to watch out for TJ Edwards. My guy is definitely Darnell Mooney. I know DJ Moore is definitely going to get a lot of attention, but Darnell Mooney, out of Tulane, he's definitely been pretty solid, and this is kind of the first year he's had any sort of running mate. It's mostly just kind of been him and Cole Kmet, I guess, out there, which I don't mean to sound disrespectful to Cole Kmet. It's just, just having those two guys, it's not ideal. So I don't know. I'm a little nervous about Darnell Mooney because he also is kind of a speed merchant. He's pretty quick. He's he's very much a deep threat kind of guy. So that's definitely going to be another guy to look for. But moving on to our next segment, we've got some key matchups. Who are y'all looking at for the Bears and the Bucs? There's going to be a lot of kind of head-to-head kind of things that can determine this game. I'll start with mine. Mine's definitely going to be the Justin Fields versus this Bucs front seven. If we've mentioned it before, Levante David and Devin White need to do a really, really solid job of keeping him in the pocket or making sure that he's not able to escape the pocket and get too far downfield. So that's going to be a big one for me, is Justin Fields versus this Buccaneers front seven. But how about you, Zach? Who's a key matchup for you?
Yeah, I also went Justin Fields, but I went a little more one-on-one. I went Justin Fields and Antoine Winfield.
Ooh, okay. I like that.
I think that it's going to be him who's being sent to blitz a lot this game. So I think seeing his ability to either keep up with Justin Fields or kind of meet him in the middle and not let him gain big yardage is the key for our defense this game.
For sure. And I loved Antoine Winfield's physicality. So I think that he'll be able, because Justin Fields is a big dude too. He's obviously really fast, but he's also, I don't want to say he's Cam Newton. He's not there, but
he's up there.
Yeah,
he's more like Vic, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah, he's bigger than people.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, he's bigger than I think people think of when they think of Justin Fields. So yeah, Antoine Winfield versus Justin Fields is definitely gonna be interesting. Even just Antoine Winfield dropping into coverage, kind of being that center fielder. We saw a former Buck in Monday Night Football come away with 3 interceptions on Josh Allen.
One that got away, man. Holy hell.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Whitehead, number 3, coming through with 3 interceptions. That was a crazy performance. So, Winfield could have a similar impact because Justin Fields is not immune to the interception bug either. So, yeah, I'm definitely liking that matchup. Musab, how about you? Who's a key matchup with this Bucs Bears matchup on Sunday?
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing as y'all right now. Listen, I think, someone on the Bears is going to have to step up. My thought is, probably someone like DJ Moore, of course, based on what happened last week. But I'm looking at the whole kind of Fields versus our D-line situation. I think if we're really able to take advantage of that, I think they're going to be in trouble overall. I don't think Fields is going to have any opportunities as well to kind of throw it deep. If anything, might get some short passes in, but I don't think that's going to help at all. What I'm really looking at is I just hope that we don't kind of slip here and there and make our little dinks and doinks for him to kind of, get that first down. If they're already on that third down, they're, down already a few yards already. I just don't want anyone, or I don't want Fields to have any reason to keep on grinding it out, down the field. And then just for our defense to kind of get exhausted overall. I mean, that's all what I'm kind of thinking about right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Mistakes can get amplified very quickly against a talented guy like Justin Fields, for sure. And I mean, another kind of matchup. This isn't really between the Bucs and the Bears, but Baker Mayfield versus turnovers. Just interceptions in general. Hopefully, just got to take care of the football. Just continue to play, clean football, and that'd be really huge as well. So now we're going to do some predictions because what's a show during the regular season without predictions, right? Us spewing as if we know what's going to happen and then total opposite happening. Musab, we'll start. Right, exactly. Musab, we'll start with you. What's your prediction, a score prediction? Who you think's got the win this Sunday at Raymond James?
Well, I'll tell you this, gentlemen. I didn't get this hat for no reason. Shout out to Costco for keeping the costs low. Not sponsored just
not a sponsor yet.
Not sponsored yet, but listen, guys, I'm feeling really good about this game. Honestly, my prediction is I think we go 27-13 with a W. Wow. All right. I don't think we're going to allow the Bears to have many chances. I think maybe here and there, they might rack up some points on the board, but that's really about it, though. This is our game to win. And ladies and gentlemen, I think we're about to be 2-0 this season.
Whew, who would have thought, huh?
Me, I would have thought.
Oh, word. All right, fair enough. No, I'm with you. I think the Bucs take this one home. I'm not going to go 2 touchdowns. I think it's going to be a really close game. I just don't see the Bucs going through very many, blowouts necessarily on either side. Maybe the Eagles game might get out of hand if the Bucs don't come out swinging. So mine's going to be 24-21 Bucs. I think it's just going to be, kind of a neck and neck game, similar to the Vikings game. That one wasn't coming down to the wire, but it certainly wasn't a runaway game. So I think it's going to be something similar here. I think the defense will come to play. I think they'll do a really, really solid job. It just comes down. I hate to, toot that same horn, but it just comes down to the offense playing clean football. If they don't commit too many turnovers, and if the Bucs can, take advantage of some dinks and doinks here and there from the Bears, then, Bucs could come away 2-0, like Musab said, and that's what I think is going to happen. Zach, I think we already know what your prediction is in regards to who wins, but what's your score prediction?
I don't know who Zach is. I like to call myself 1-0 Zach now. But no, 1-0 Zach is going to predict 34-14.
Jesus.
I'm telling you, I think Mike Evans is going to have a game this week. I think Baker's going to have a better game than he had last week. I think everything has fallen into place for this team to shock a lot of people. And I think that starting off 2-0 is a key to that.
Man, good gracious. That's bold. That's bold.
You know what? I'm not saying we're going to go undefeated at all. I think that 2-0 is probably our stop point for undefeated, if I'm being honest with you. But, no, do we play the Eagles week 4 or week 3?
I want to say
I believe that is.
Let's look.
No, it's week 3.
Okay, yeah.
We got the Saints week 4. Yeah.
I need to watch the Eagles game this week before I confirm if this is where we stop 2-0, but my prediction is 34-14. Tampa wins big. We're calling it a night.
Hey, fair enough. I mean, hey, go big or go home. That's what the kids say at
Exactly.
least. So yeah, I'm with it. I dig the bold prediction. So yeah, I mean, shoot, if it comes to fruition, then shoot, it'll be an easy Sunday. You know, tune in for the first 3 quarters, and then once they jump ahead by 2 or 3 touchdowns, I can, you know, click to another game or, you know, watch some other television, watch the Rays game or something. So yeah, that'll be fun if it's a blowout. I'm hoping that happens. But before we end the episode, I'd definitely like to end it on kind of a fun note. What are some game day tunes, some game day jams, whatever you want to call it? What's a song that you're listening to this week when you're thinking of the Bucs game? Zach, we'll start with you. What's your game day jam of the week?
Still Hot by Nick D and Connor Price, because last time I checked, Tampa was still hot, baby.
Wow. Okay. Can't say I've heard that one. I'm guessing it might be. Gotcha. All right. Interesting. I'll definitely check it out. Musab, how about you? What's your jam of the week?
I want to give a shout out to WWE SmackDown 2007 for this jam of the week, just because I was cleaning out my garage and I had picked up these bunch of random kind of GameCube CDs. Anyways, long story short, my tune of the week is going to be Riot by 3 Days Grace. I didn't really have any kind of relation to how the Buccaneers and Bears game is going to be, but now that I'm thinking about it, I think the Buccaneers might crush the Bears so bad there might be a little riot in Chicago. Yeah,
Start a riot.
Word.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough. Yeah, I haven't heard either of those songs. That's always good.
You've never heard rock? Oh my God! Have you been under a rock, Carter?
I guess so. I don't know what to tell you. If it's not Miles Davis or John Coltrane, then I don't know it. You know, but no, I'm just kidding. No, mine is definitely tuned into my inner white girl is Chateau Feel All Right by Dijo. Better known as that guy from Stranger Things. Yeah, it's a really poppy white girl tune, but you know, it represents how I'm feeling. You know, I'm feeling all right. This Bucs season's gotten off to a pretty good start. You know, 1-0. It can't get any better than that. So you know, I'm not excited. I'm not, you know, oh man, Bucs Super Bowl. But hey, you know, it's pretty chill. You know, it's a good start to the season. So that's kind of my vibe for the week.
I've never heard that song. I'm gonna have to check that one out.
Well, there you go.
Maybe we're the ones under a rock.
Right, for
Right.
real. I'm not white girl enough, man. That's what it is.
Well, you know, that's how it be sometimes. But yeah, we're coming to the end of the episode. We really appreciate y'all for listening in. Without y'all, we'd just be 3 dickheads talking about how we don't really listen to white girl music, which no one wants that. But anyways, if you liked what you heard, definitely hit that like and subscribe button wherever you're listening to us from. Also, give us a follow on socials on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or TikTok at RBLR Sports. We really appreciate y'all listening in, and we'll see y'all next week. Hopefully, after another Bucs W, maybe it'll be as big as Zach Blaine said. Who knows? But regardless, as always, go Bucs.
Go Bucs.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.